Hello, this is the implementation of the facade design pattern. Now, I think facade design pattern is going to be the last example of this video series if I don't add any more in the future. Let's create the main class. I'm still using the wrist bands because my wrist kind of hurts, so I will be writing slower than usual. Now, the example of the facade design pattern is going to be manager's assistant. I will explain why. Now, the facade design pattern is about simplifying one or more abstractions in a single concrete class. What do I mean by that? In real life terms, we're gonna have an assistant which is making everything simple for the manager. Okay, manager is gonna command or tell something to assistant, and assistant will get the required information for the manager. So manager is not going to have to know the details about the work or maybe financial situations. Assistant is going to summarize all the information. Now, in a real life example, actually in a traditional way, we would have different workers, okay? Maybe a programmer, an HR, human resources, and a security officer. These are all kinds of workers in your example, in our example. And one more, aspect from a company is financials. So we're gonna have financial situation too. Let's approach with the traditional way. First, you would probably use some kind of interface for work, because manager will want to know about how things are going. Are they working or not? Something like that. This is a basic information. And let's say it has a public string of details, because manager is going to be asking for the details, the inquiry about the details. Cool. We have one interface, and the second one, I don't want to get this example much more complicated, will be financials. Let's say finance. Okay. And the finance interface will provide methods about the financial situation. Maybe two methods for public void of, not of, financial situation. Okay, financial situation, and maybe a forecast. What's gonna happen in the future. Financial forecast. These information, situation and forecast, will require, details. You have to be able to understand what is finance, what is situation, and have to bring ideas into these situations, into these methods. Okay, you have to be qualified. And details, if you're a programmer, you can explain algorithms or other things. If you are an HR person, you can explain the human resourcing aspects. But manager will not going to involve with these details. There's gonna be an assistant. First, let's create concrete classes for work and finance. First, let's have a programmer. This will implement the work because produces some kind of work. Okay, you can have any kind of logic here. It's totally up to you. Because we are going to be simplifying these in the assistant class. Let's say Java, and this is design patterns. Okay, this method can be more complicated, but for the sake of simplicity, I will leave it like this. Just return a string value. One more class for HR. Again, implements work, and this person is going to return, well, its own job, resourcing humans, maybe. Okay, we have the HR, we have the programmer, maybe one more for fun. Let's say security officer. I am giving these examples because in real life you're gonna have lots of different implementations. Okay, I have only one work interface, but totally different kind of situations in programmer and HR and security officer. These have to be summarized and simplified somewhere. Your ass safe. Okay. Everyone is doing their own job and they are totally different. We have work, security officer, programmer, and HR, and finance. Let's create the financial or financials. I have work and finance interfaces because if you have only one work interface, this wouldn't exactly be the facade design pattern, okay? You're gonna have more than one interfaces to summarize. That's the standpoint of the facade design pattern. That's the reason why we would come up with facade design pattern. This one implements finance. And in your project in real life, you will probably have lots of different interfaces doing lots of different works, you know, lots of different things. We are still approaching this with the traditional way. Keep that in mind. Let's say, what about the financial situation? Yes. I have to admit I am kind of cheating because it's kind of hard to keep track of what I'm doing. We have lots of money. Okay. And the forecast. For fun, we will not go bankrupt. Cool. Now this is the point where we would realize we're gonna need some kind of assistant or some kind of unified class for work and finance, because we want to get these two interfaces together somewhere, and that one will be assistant. Now think about the real world example. you can have a different assistant. You know, you can have actually different assistant types. You may be implementing some kind of assistant, but it's not mandatory here. This is the first tip I'm going to give you. And the second one, the assistant is not going to implement work and finance, okay? This is not gonna happen because work and finance are already the objects that we are trying to simplify. If I do that, I will end up implementing lots of code here. You see details, financial situation, and forecast. I don't want the assistant to be complicated, complex. I don't want to carry out the logic inside the assistant. The logic of the assistant is going to be simplifying. So I'm going to get rid of the implements. And all I'm going to have here is private HR, one person for HR, person HR, okay. You don't have to instantiate it, from the get-go, but for this example, I will make it simple. The assistant knows a programmer yes. These are the objects that assistant is managing. You can have, maybe this is an idea, you can have a work interface here, and the HR programmer and the security officer can be, defined in one interface here. That would also work, but this will be more, visible. Security officer. This is gonna be long. Person officer, yes. And one more, assistant will know about the financials. Well, the best practice, again, let me remind you, would be having this finance interface here, but I'm going to keep this simple. Actually, I changed my mind because I can show you one more thing. Let's say private finance, okay? Now this is an interface. We're going to be able to inject any kind of finance implementation, and there will be an array list of works, maybe. Okay. Let's say set finance and add work. This will be new array list, and finance is going to be injected from outside, just like workers. Like this. Okay. This way we are going to be able to configure our assistant however we want. Okay. This code will be here in the main class, our test class. I will get back to main method in a minute. Let's say now we have the finance, we have the workers, the works, and we want to get some kind of report from the assistant. This will be a public string, get report. Okay, that's all. I want to get the report. The manager will, ask about the report, who is working or who is not, and this will be a string variable, let's say report, and there will be a for loop details. Yes, see, we have the workers, we are simplifying their details in one string. Well, this isn't exactly simplifying, but I don't want to make this example complicated, so I'll just return the report. Maybe plus new line. Cool. And what about the finance? Manager doesn't know how finance works. Okay? The main class doesn't know how finance interface work. Or in other words, the outside world is not aware of the financial world, because assistant is managing that aspect. This will be a public void of get financial situation. Okay, no parameters, no classes are returned, no business class, just a string and a void method. And I will say finance dot financial situation and financial forecast. These will print out the values in the implementation, not here. See, and assistant will be invoking the necessary methods for the manager. So this class is our facade. And how? Because I will be creating one class for assistant, one instance for assistant, and I will add new HR person, new programmer and security officer, okay. In the traditional way, it will be the code, just like the one I have deleted. Okay, now we are injecting the necessary classes into assistant. We don't have to get into details of these HR programmer and security officer and financials, because assistant is going to carry out the necessary work for us. Set finance. I have told you, you can configure the assistant however you want. You don't have to know about the financials, security officer, programmer, HR. You don't have to know the details about these objects, because assistant is ready to take these variables, work and finance. Now I think that's all about facade design pattern. Let's see what this code is doing. Am I missing something? Let's see. Yes, I haven't called the assistant, but get report and assistant dot get financial situation. Yes, I didn't get the report, but I got the financial situation. Okay, why didn't I get the report? I should have printed out the value. Yes, I got the report from all of the workers combined in one string value, and I got the financial situation, which in return printed out two different lines in the output. So that's all about the facade design pattern. We are simplifying more than one interface or abstraction in one unique implementation, which is the assistant. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.